The Golden Harvest. Lyra had been looking forward to her vacation with her grandmother for weeks. The small town where her grandma lived felt like a magical place, far from the noise of the city. Her grandma's house was quaint, tucked away at the end of a winding lane, surrounded by sprawling green fields. Every time Lyra visited, she felt as though she were stepping into a different world, one filled with warmth, charm, and the scent of homemade meals. It was the summer holidays, and Lyra's parents decided to send her to stay with Grandma for a few weeks. The thought of being surrounded by farm animals, nature, and delicious smells from the kitchen made her heart race with excitement. Her grandma was kind, gentle, and had a magical way of making everyday tasks feel special. Lyra always looked forward to her visits, for she knew they would be filled with fun and small adventures. When she arrived at Grandma's house, it was a warm, sunny afternoon. The air smelled of freshly mowed grass and the sweet scent of roses from the garden. Grandma greeted her with a big hug, her face lighting up with a smile as wide as the sun. "Lyra, my dear, welcome. I've missed you so much," Grandma exclaimed, her soft, weathered hands brushing through Lyra's hair. Lyra smiled back, taking in the comfort of Grandma's familiar presence. She felt safe and loved here. There was always something new to discover, something new to do. The first few days were spent in simple pleasures. They baked cookies together in the kitchen, Lyra carefully measuring ingredients and Grandma stirring the batter. They washed dishes and tidied the house, each task a bonding moment. Grandma shared her secret recipes with Lyra, teaching her how to make the most delicious apple pie with a buttery crust that melted in the mouth. But what Lyra enjoyed most were their trips to the backyard garden. Grandma had a big plot of land where she grew everything: tomatoes, beans, carrots, spinach, cucumbers, strawberries, and even some flowers. It was a paradise of green, buzzing with bees, chirping birds, and the earthy scent of soil. Grandma always made Lyra feel like a grown-up as they worked together in the garden. Grandma would pick weeds and Lyra would water the plants. Sometimes they would just sit among the vegetables, chatting and admiring the simple beauty of the plants. One morning, as they were preparing to head outside, Grandma called out, "Lyra, would you like to help me in the garden today? I think it's time to harvest the carrots and maybe some tomatoes too." "Yes, Grandma. I love harvesting," Lyra replied enthusiastically, tying her shoes and grabbing a small basket. They headed out into the backyard, where the garden stretched out before them in all its glory. The plants were lush, with bright green leaves, and colorful vegetables peeked out from under them. Grandma led the way, gently pulling on the leafy tops of the carrots. "Look, Lyra," Grandma said, "when you pull a carrot from the ground, you need to be careful. Pull gently and don't rush. We want to keep the roots intact for the next harvest." Lyra nodded attentively. She knelt down beside her grandma and began pulling at the carrots. With a little tug, she felt the satisfying resistance before the carrot finally came free. It was bright orange, plump, and perfect. Grandma smiled approvingly. "That's a good one, Lyra. Let's get a few more." They worked in silence, enjoying each other's company, the birds singing in the distance, and the warmth of the sun on their faces. Lyra loved moments like this, where time seemed to stretch on, and everything felt calm and perfect. After a while, Grandma led Lyra over to a patch of tall, leafy plants where the tomatoes were ripening. They carefully plucked the ripe, red fruit, placing them in the basket. Lyra felt a sense of pride as the basket grew heavier with each harvest. She was helping Grandma, doing something real, something important. Once the basket was full, Grandma wiped her hands on her apron and said, "Let's take these inside and wash them up before we start on anything else." Together, they made their way back to the house, the basket of fresh vegetables and fruit swaying gently between them. They entered the kitchen, where the sunlight streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow over the wooden counters. Lyra placed the basket on the counter, and Grandma began running cool water over the carrots and tomatoes. Lyra carefully washed the vegetables, feeling the smooth skin of the tomatoes, the roughness of the carrots. She was lost in the task, humming a little tune as she worked. Then, as she picked up one of the carrots to rinse it off, something caught her eye. There was something shiny nestled in the dirt around the carrot's roots. It was a glimmer of gold, small but unmistakable. Lyra's heart skipped a beat. Grandma, look! Lyra exclaimed, holding the carrot up to show her. Grandma turned from the sink, her eyes widening as she took in what Lyra had found. Lyra carefully placed the carrot on the counter and picked up the small object from the soil. It was a gold ring. Grandma gasped, her eyes glinting with recognition. Oh my goodness, Lyra! That's my ring. I lost it a long time ago when I was planting the carrots. I had no idea where it went. Lyra's eyes grew wide with wonder. It's your ring, Grandma? Yes, Grandma said, taking the ring from Lyra's hand, a tear glistening in her eye. I've been looking for it for so long. It's my favorite ring. I lost it when I was planting these very carrots. I never imagined I'd find it again. Lyra smiled, her heart swelling with happiness. She had found something special, something that meant a lot to her grandma. She could feel the joy in Grandma's voice, the relief in her eyes. It was as though a little piece of magic had found its way back home. Grandma carefully slipped the ring back onto her finger, her eyes sparkling. I never thought I'd see this ring again. Thank you, Lyra. You've given me a gift that's even more precious than any treasure. Lyra beamed, her cheeks flushed with pride. I'm so happy I found it, Grandma. It's like we went on a little adventure together. Grandma laughed, a soft melodic sound that always made Lyra feel warm inside. Yes, indeed we did. And you were my hero today, Lyra. They finished washing the vegetables, and Lyra helped Grandma prepare them for dinner. The kitchen smelled of fresh herbs and vegetables, the perfect backdrop to their shared happiness. They spent the rest of the day together, cooking a delicious meal and sitting down to eat it in the cozy kitchen. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the garden, Lyra felt a sense of contentment settle over her. She had not only helped her grandma in the garden and kitchen, but had also uncovered a small piece of history, a golden ring that had been lost and now found again. It was a simple day, filled with simple joys. But for Lyra, it was one of those days that would stay in her heart forever. The day when she found Grandma's lost ring, and in doing so, found the kind of happiness that only family, love, and little moments of magic could bring. And from that day on, whenever Lyra visited Grandma, she would always remember that magical moment in the garden, where a small gold ring was rediscovered, and a bond between grandmother and granddaughter grew even stronger.